Welcome, everyone. Happy Mother's Day. Yay to the mothers. Thank y'all so much for being here. We're so happy to have everyone, whether it's your first time or seventh or however many. You've been here since the beginning. We appreciate you. We love you. If you are new with us, we have a welcome pamphlet at the intro when you come in at the credenza. Hopefully you were greeted by one of our lovely faces, but if not, we have a pamphlet, and it has everything in a nutshell of what we stand for here at this church, our 7 principles, so check that out, and we do reuse that. So when you're done, if you could kindly put it back on the credenza, that would be great. But if you want further information, if you want us to reach out to you, there's a little info card you can fill out, and we'll bug you with emails. Not too many at all, so not really a bug, but we'll send you information, and we collect joys and sorrows to share with the congregation so that we can think of you and pray for you and everything else. So that's at the front. I'm Mary Beth. She and her are my pronouns. If you could at this time silence all your devices, all the things that make noises, that would be great to turn those down or off. And I think we'll just get into some announcements. I have a couple. So first, from Laura Keith King, our board president, right there. Yesterday, we had a great group of volunteers, and they did lots of work here, inside and out. So we want to give them a big thank you to all of them. It looks great. Yes. Also, we are excited, very excited, to announce that the board has approved a plan to begin Bradley's Banned Books bookshelf. Yes. It is in addition to our library that's just out that way, to my right. We feel that many of the books being banned in our public school systems are the very same books that promote empathy, cultural literacy, and we would like to do what we can to combat that effort to eliminate those. Yes. Moreover, the act of banning books flies directly in opposition of two of our avowed principles, one being the second principle, justice, equality, and compassion in human relations, because people of all colors and sexual orientation deserve and need representation in our school curriculum, and the other being our fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, right? So, awesome. If you want to give, yes, holler at Bradley. She'll take donations, books, thoughts, prayers, hugs. Okay. If you have books, books, money, contribute, give those to her. Or just have questions. Another announcement, next Sunday, we are holding our annual meeting. We will be voting on our new slate of officers. The possible adoption of the 8th principle, because now we just have 7, and a proposal to grant a member honorary lifetime member status and, drum roll, our budget for 2023 and 2024. The meeting will be after our service and lunch. Yeah. Okay. There are 2 constitutional amendments that we would like to see on the ballot next year. We need thousands of signatures to get them on the ballot. The 2 amendments are, number 1, right to clean and healthy water. Number 2, an amendment to limit government interference with abortion. Paula, in the back there, lovely Paula, will have politicians to put these 2 measures on the ballot. You can sign during our coffee hour today, which is immediately following the service. And if you would like to ask friends beyond these walls for their signatures, tell Paula however many petitions you would like, and she will give you those. Is it next Sunday, May 21st? Yes, it's time to celebrate our members and close family members reaching key educational milestones this semester. If you are or know any UUCP member or offspring graduating from high school or college or achieving a higher degree, please let the Sunday Service Committee know. You can email Nancy or Lori. Nancy's just there in the white, and Lori is probably, she's getting ready for, that's next Sunday. And Lori is, I believe, helping out with Sunday Sweets, which is my final announcement today. We have Sunday Sweets just out there in honor of mothers. It's Pie Day! Yay! So they take donations if you're watching your figure, but if you're not, buy some pies, and they go to operate our lovely facility here.
Free for people who are just visiting.
Yeah, free to the newbies, free to new members, or new...
Visiting.
Yeah, thank you. Free to visitors. We are always happy to have volunteers help out with children each Sunday. Yes. If you can spare one Sunday a month or on occasion, it would be much appreciated. You can get with Denise, who just came up here, or Bradley, just up at the front. If you have any questions or would like to consider being a part of this important element of our church. Awesome kids need awesome adults to guide and inspire them. Yes. Thank you to Steve, Denise's husband, for hardwiring and security camera installation at the front doors. Thank you, Steve. Okay, I think that's all of my announcements. Okay, we're going to have a responsive reading, so if you'll turn with me to page 439, there should be hymns, yeah, just under the chair there. We gather in reverence. We gather in reverence before the wonder of life.
The wonder of this moment.
The wonder of being together, so close, yet so apart.
Each hidden in our own secret chamber.
Each listening, each trying to speak.
Yet none fully understanding, none fully understood.
We gather in reverence before all intangible things. The eyes see not, nor ears can detect.
That hands can never touch, that taste cannot hold, and time cannot measure.
Thank you. Now we'll do our chalice lighting, and if Laura can help me do that. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. And if you could, if you're willing and able to stand with me, and we'll recite our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And then if you want to stay standing, we're going to sing together number 162. Gonna lay down my sword and shield, and I'll have the choir come up, and Laura and choir will lead us in that.
Lay down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Thank you, Laura and choir. Now it's time for our offering. In case you're unaware, this is a self-funded church. We run solely on what we are given, and we are so grateful for that. So if you are willing and able to give to our church, it would be much appreciated. We'll have some volunteers pass around a basket here. So. Now if I could have Nancy Hagman come up for our Time for All Ages.
What a delightful sound and a reminder of being a mother when you hear this small voice come from the back of the church. Thank you very much for bringing your sounds of small children to us today. Today, as we come to the close of our church year, I close our church year June 30th every year. And we want to take time to honor our teachers and educators for our congregation. And so today, I'm going to read a few quotes. When I looked up quotes about educators, you can only imagine there are many, many quotes. So you're lucky I didn't choose all of them, but I did choose a few. From famous people to some that may not be so known. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken the joy in creative expression and knowledge, Albert Einstein. And I'm going to pause between so that you can reflect, because some of them are very powerful. A mind once stretched by a new idea never regains its original dimensions. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Everyone who remembers his own education remembers teachers, not methods or techniques. The teacher is the heart of the educational system. Sidney Hook. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. John C. Maxwell. I think the teaching profession contributes more to the future of our society than any other single profession. John Wooden. Most of us end up with more than 5 or 6 people who will remember us. Teachers have thousands of people who remember them for the rest of their lives. Andy Rooney. The beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. B.B. King. To teach is to learn twice. A teacher affects eternity. One can never tell where their influence stops. Henry Brooks Adams. If you want to learn something well, teach it. Author unknown. Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to all of us. Voltaire. And we're going to appreciate today our children's teachers and our teachers in this congregation. So I'm going to start. Sometimes teachers volunteer, and even though we may not have children that age, just the fact that they said yes makes a difference in our congregation. And it makes a difference knowing there's someone there when we need them. And we'll start with Chris Brockway. If you'll come up, please, and join us. And of course, we need our children. So I'm going to ask Elliot to bring a gift to her. Mm-hmm. Honor bell. And if Nola Hayes would bring him a gift. And Tabitha, I believe, Tabitha's here. Tabitha Mazinet, come forward, please. And Rylan Kellenher will bring you a gift. And Madeline Alzondo Anzondo. You know what? She has lots of names. I'm going to call her Maddie, okay? She's Anzaldo Satterwhite. See, I can't get any of it right. So Maddie is best, and I don't think Maddie is here today, but we do want to honor her, and we do have a gift. Denise Gunn. And Rylan, would you like to come give her a gift? I'm sure he had his eye on one specifically. And Bradley Vinson. And Elliot, would you like to give your mom a gift? And Denise and Bradley took up the reins of this church in December and have made sure that we've had a children's program ever since. And we totally are appreciative of you, but also owe you so much and honor you. Thank you. If you'll remain, stay up here. What I'd like to do at this time is to also remind us of the other educators in this congregation. And the Sunday services team, I'm going to ask you to stand as I call your name. They pull together the Sunday services each week and look for speakers, and we do have some guest speakers outside of the congregation. So I'm going to ask each person that I call their name to please stand and remain standing. Laura Keith King, Barbara Wright, Jack Comstock, Dolly Berthelot, Paula Montgomery, and myself, Nancy Hagman. And please remain standing if you're willing. We also have speakers from our congregation, and I'm going to announce those, and if they would please stand. This year, since last July, we have heard from Tom Botsford, Steve Gunter, Jack Wolverton, Joe Vinson, Laura Anzaldo, Scott Satterwhite, Penny Featherstone, Farron Collins, Derek Scott, Reverend Boy, Paula Montgomery, Reverend Maggie Lovins, Barbara Wright, Audrey Preston, Heather and Daniel Cobb, Jack Comstock, Kate Wolverton, Nancy Hagman, Chris Brockway, Dolly Berthelot, and Trista Bluin. In addition, they are guided by service leaders, Mary Beth Ramsey, Heather and Daniel Cobb, Kate Wolverton, Penny Featherstone, Paula Montgomery, and Charlotte Snyder. And I don't want to forget the people behind the scenes. Excuse me, we have people that are always in the sound booth. Brett Ramsey is in the sound booth often, along with Scott Satterwhite and Jack Wolverton and Desmond Satterwhite, and Bill Kaplinger is in the back, always videotaping. And
Audrey Preston.
I'm sorry, and Audrey Preston, yes. Thank you. And if any of you have ever attended any of those services or are here today, would you please stand? Please stand.
If you ever attended a service here, please stand.
If you've ever attended any of the services by any of the people that have been announced, please stand. I didn't make myself clear. In body and or spirit, thank you. And we're going to share a song together. This happens to be one of my favorites, and we're going to ask Linda Cobb to come forward. I'm asking Linda Cobb to come forward, and she's going to sign it for us the first time, and as many times as she wants to. We're going to sing it 3 times. The first time we'll sing it together. The words are on the screen. The second time, and you can watch Linda any or all of the time, the second time I'd like for you to look at the people around you and sing it to them. And then the third time we'll sing it together. From you I receive, and to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live. From you I receive, and to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live. One more time. From you I receive, and to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live. Thank you very much, and you may be seated.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Laura Keith King. You know her as choir director and president of the board.
We didn't sing the children out, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
My fault, sorry.
Thank you. Okay, Laura Keith King, yes. Reminder and overall just goddess and angel above, among other things. But choir director, president of our board, you may know that she lives with her husband Ed in Milton. She came to our church in 2015 after moving here from New Hampshire, where she lived for 30 years and raised 2 children. While her children were young, she worked part-time in a variety of fields. Then as a full-time artist specializing in portraits painted in oil. She's phenomenal. In 2005, the divorce required her to give that up for more steady work, and after several nonprofit jobs, she eventually ended up as president and CEO of a large chamber of commerce in Keene, New Hampshire. She's excited to present the lives of Mother Teresa and Thích Nhât Hahn, 2 very famous people who both proved that with enough love and persistence, persistent action, one person can change the whole world.
Laura?
Thank you, Mary Beth. So today is the day annually designated in our country as Mother's Day. We think of the ideal mother as being filled with compassion for her children. And in a perfect world, to mother someone is to care for them and about them. Anyone can be a mother, and today we honor all of those who have mothered us and who mother anyone who needs love and care. Let us all strive to be good mothers of each other and of the world in which we live. Today we are continuing the series inspired by the book Great Peacemakers, True Stories from Around the World. Both of our peace leaders this morning are well known. This allows me to see the slides are up behind me. Okay. Good. Mother Teresa and Thích Nhât Hahn. We hope you enjoy learning more about these leaders this morning. Standing only 5 feet tall, Mother Teresa was small in stature, but enormous in influence. Gaining international admiration for her selfless service to the destitute and dying, Mother Teresa was a source of comfort and inspiration for countless people throughout the world. In her very personal approach to living peace, this Nobel laureate did her utmost to put love into action. Mother Teresa was born Agnes Bojaxiu in Skopje, Macedonia in 1910. At the age of 12, the young Catholic girl felt drawn to a life of religious service. Initially uncertain about following this call, she asked her parish priest how she could be certain. The priest answered, "The deep inner joy that you feel is the compass that indicates your direction in life." Soon afterward, her heart overflowed with joy, and she decided to devote herself fully to religious life. After reading about missionaries in India, she was inspired to join the Sisters of Loreto, who were serving there. Just 18 years old, she bid her family farewell and joined the order in Dublin, Ireland, where she learned English and became Sister Teresa, saying, "I chose Saint Teresa of Lisieux as my namesake because she did ordinary things with extraordinary love." Before long, Mother Teresa located to Calcutta, now Kolkata, India, and began studying at St. Mary's High School, teaching at St. Mary's High School. In a city with approximately 3,000 slums, St. Mary's was isolated from nearby poverty. She taught for 2 decades at the school and then had an epiphany. While riding a train, observing the slums around the tracks, she heard what she identified as, quote, "a call within a call." The message was quite clear. I was to leave the convent and help the poor whilst living among them. It was an order. I knew where I belonged, but I did not know how to get there. Later, she took some nurse's training, traded her Loreto robe for a cheap cotton sari, and the lone nun ventured out into the streets. The suffering that Mother Teresa encountered in the slums of Calcutta was staggering. In no time, she found a woman partially eaten by rats and dying in the street. The compassionate nun rushed the woman to a hospital, but they refused to take her. Mother Teresa refused to leave unless something was done, and they finally relented. Right after this, the determined Mother Teresa began looking for space where she could care for people and where they could die with dignity. After gaining permission to use 2 rooms in a Hindu temple, Mother Teresa set up the Kalagat home for the dying. There, she did her best to convey to the dying that even if throughout their lives they had felt unwanted and forgotten, at least in their final days they were loved. Soon, Mother Teresa welcomed her first assistant, one of her former students, to join her serving the poor. Mother Teresa rejoiced and said, "When a girl who belongs to a very old caste comes to a place herself at the service of the outcasts, we are talking about a revolution, the biggest one, the hardest of all, the revolution of love." Mother Teresa founded her own order, the Missionaries of Charity, adding to the usual vows an additional vow of serving the poor. Living almost as austerely as the people they tended, the Missionaries of Charity had scant personal space, few personal belongings, and a rigorous routine of contemplation and service. They were considered in the Indian caste system as so-called untouchables. She said, "The miracle is not that we do this work, but that we are happy to do it." How could they be happy to wash a leper's disfigured face or hold an emaciated woman's skeletal hand while they die? The answer is that in the faces of the poorest of the poor, the Missionaries of Charity saw the face of their God, a perspective that helped them to see each patient not with pity, but with reverence, and made their service not social work, but a form of active worship. In 1969, a BBC documentary brought Mother Teresa to the attention of the West, which made her a household name and unleashed a flood of honors. Suddenly, the nun found herself meeting with dignitaries and representatives of organizations like the United Nations. Pope Paul VI gave Mother Teresa a limousine, which she raffled off to use the proceeds on a center for lepers. In 1979, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, which she humbly accepted in the name of the poor, with all the proceeds dedicated to their care. For years, Mother Teresa was elected as her order's superior general, with one dissenting vote, her own. Eventually, age diminished her health, and when she announced that she was too ill to continue leading the order, one of her first volunteers, Sister Nirmala, was elected as her successor. Mother Teresa shared, "People ask me about death and whether I look forward to it, and I answer, of course, because I am going home." In 1997, Mother Teresa went home at age 87. India expressed its appreciation for Mother Teresa by giving her a state funeral, normally held only for prime ministers and presidents. During this tribute, the nun's body was transported on the same carriage that had carried the body of India's renowned peacemaker Mahatma Gandhi, and the service was attended by 13,000 mourners at the stadium, while thousands of additional mourners filled Calcutta's streets and millions more watched on television around the world. Mother Teresa was named Saint Mother Teresa on September 4th, 2016. This compassionate and devoted woman offered comfort and love to countless people worldwide. Today, her order continues tending to the poor, the dying, and the forgotten, following Saint Mother Teresa's extraordinary example of love in action. And now on to Thích Nhât Hahn, being peace. Hailed as one of the most tireless and effective spiritual social activists since Mohandas Gandhi, Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk Thích Nhât Hahn cultivated inner peace while working for world peace, leading one of the great nonviolent resistance movements of the 20th century, and nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., this gentle leader held that a key to world peace is the practice of being peace. Born in 1926 in central Vietnam, Thích Nhât Hahn began his quest for inner peace early. When I was 9, I saw on the cover of a magazine an image of the Buddha sitting peacefully on the grass. Right away, I knew that I wanted to be peaceful and happy like that. Thích Nhât Hahn became a monk when he was just 16 years old, and by age 30 had founded his own monastery and co-founded what became the most renowned Buddhist institute in Vietnam, An Quan. Sadly, when the Vietnam War encroached upon their monastery, Thích Nhât Hahn and his fellow monks were forced to evacuate for their safety. Fortunately, from the fire of war rose the phoenix of a new social dimension of Buddhism, which Thích Nhât Hahn called engaged Buddhism. The brown-robed monk explained, "When the warplanes came and dropped bombs around us, we heard the sounds of our people crying out in pain and anguish. There were wounded children and destroyed homes and refugees to take care of. We could not ignore them and just sit quietly in our meditation halls. We had to go out and help, but we knew we would become exhausted if we did these things without nurturing our own spirit. We used the teachings of the Buddha about self-protection and self-healing in our own personal practice and took them out into the world." This was engaged Buddhism in its purest form. Engaged Buddhism caught on quickly. Thích Nhât Hahn traveled to the U.S., hoping to inspire a change in U.S. policy regarding the war. Having seen much injustice and many of his friends and disciples killed in the war, he was understandably angry. But at that time, I was already a solid practitioner. I was able to see that the real enemy of man is not man. The real enemies are ignorance, discrimination, fear, craving, and violence. In his opinion, both sides in the war had succumbed to an incorrect policy, believing that violence was the way to solve problems. Meeting with peace activists, dignitaries, and government officials, Thích Nhât Hahn voiced the feeling of many people on the ground when he said, "We did not care about anyone's victory or defeat. We just wanted the bombs to stop falling on us." Thích Nhât Hahn made such a positive impression on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The king nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1967. Later, Thích Nhât Hahn led the Vietnamese Buddhist peace delegation to the Paris peace talks and rejoiced when the peace accords were finally signed. After helping to restore peace to his nation, however, Thích Nhât Hahn was kicked out of it. Maintaining a steadfast call for peace and refusing to take sides, he had enraged both the communist and the anti-communist regimes and was banished from Vietnam. Settling in France, the exile longed to return home, but he eventually embraced his adopted homeland. Not forgetting the war victims, he worked to find homes for the Vietnamese orphans and to rescue refugees in the Gulf of Siam, risking his own life as he and his refugees were, in his words, hunted and chased like animals. Nonetheless, their efforts aroused international attention and resulted in thousands of lives being saved. With growing interest in his work, Thích Nhât Hahn established spiritual communities in the U.S. and France. There, he sensed a particular need for inner peace, observing, quote, "There is a kind of vacuum inside us, and we attempt to fill it by eating, reading, talking, smoking, drinking, watching TV, going to the movies, and even overworking. We absorb so much violence and insecurity in our lives every day that we are like time bombs waiting to explode." From Thích Nhât Hanh's perspective, each person has within them both seeds of peace and seeds of violence. Which of these seeds grows depends on which seed the person chooses to water. Many influences of contemporary society, he believed, nurture the seeds of violence. As a counterbalance, he taught techniques intended to help people of all faiths water the seeds of peace. He explained, "If we are peaceful, if we are happy, we can blossom like a flower, and everyone in our family, our entire society, will benefit from our peace," referring to this approach as being peace. He elaborated, "Only by establishing peace in yourself can you be helpful in contributing to peace. Being peace is the basis for doing peace, making peace." Among many techniques for cultivating inner tranquility, Thích Nhât Hahn taught breathing exercises, meditation, and mindful or conscious living. Further, he advocated deep listening, a method of calm, intentional communication designed to restore harmony between people in conflict. Thích Nhât Hahn explained, "Listening to someone with compassion can turn her into a friend. It may be that no one else has been able to listen to her. Perhaps you are the first one capable of listening to her and giving her the relief she needs. You lose an enemy and win a friend." Deep listening can facilitate communication on the international level as well, he believed, saying citizens of various nations will feel that they are being understood. That can diffuse the bomb. Thích Nhât Hahn shared such techniques with students in various walks of life, including prison inmates, people in conflict, and American veterans of the Vietnam War. For example, leading special retreats for veterans, people who could have killed his own friends and relatives during the war. He listened deeply to their experiences of combat. and the feelings of trauma and guilt that decades later still haunted them. With his gentle guidance and helpful techniques, many veterans found that their psychological and emotional wounds began to heal, and they have since dedicated themselves to being peace. Just days after the World Trade Center tragedy on September 11, 2001, Thich Nhat Hanh visited New York City and spoke there. Empathizing with the city's anguish, he warned against retaliation, saying that in the long run, violence would only bring more suffering to everyone involved. He said, "I am not saying that someone who viciously attacks us should not be disciplined, but what is most important is that we first take care of the seeds of negativity in ourselves. Then, if someone needs to be helped or disciplined, we will do so out of compassion, not anger and retribution." Thich Nhat Hanh expressed this point again in Washington, D.C., practicing slow walking meditation on Capitol Hill and speaking to members of Congress. Quote, "Using violence to suppress violence is not the correct way." Apparently, Thich Nhat Hanh's peaceful manner inspired a change of heart in the leaders of his own nation. Vietnamese officials visited Thich Nhat Hanh's communities in the U.S. and France, and at last invited him to visit Vietnam. Thich Nhat Hanh's long-held dream to return to his homeland finally came true in early 2005, when he and approximately 200 of his students enjoyed a 3-month tour of Vietnam, doing their best to practice and teach peace with every step. They made the trip again in 2007. Rebuilding war-torn villages, finding homes for orphans, rescuing refugees, meeting with government officials, and writing over 100 books. How did Thich Nhat Hanh continue his tireless efforts when some people half his age get burned out and give up? He said, "It is because of the practice of meditation, stopping, calming, and looking deeply, that I have been able to nourish and protect the sources of my spiritual energy and continue this work." Slowly and resolutely, he literally walked his talk, working for a better tomorrow while approaching the wonders of life today. He notes, "Children die of hunger, yet the sunrise is beautiful, and the rose that blossomed this morning along the wall is a miracle. Life is both dreadful and wonderful." Thich Nhat Hanh showed that by being in touch with both aspects of life and nurturing the seeds of peace within ourselves, we can help humanity reap an abundant harvest of peace in the world and enjoy the steps along the way. In 2018, Thich Nhat Hanh returned to Vietnam to his root temple, An Quan, where he lived until his death in 1922, last year, at the age of 95. His 5-day funeral, which began on the day of his death, had a 7-day wake that culminated with his cremation on the 29th of January. Although Thich Nhat Hanh died last year, his spirit will live on forever in his timeless work on meditation and mindfulness. The movement he started and the 100 books that he has written and the many videos you can still find on YouTube of himself have touched millions of lives. Both he and Mother Teresa made incredible impacts, and were beautiful examples of how one person can change the world.
Thank you, Laura. If everyone would stand with me, if you're willing and able, and we'll sing our closing hymn. It's page 352. And the choir can come up and join. Find a Stillness, page 352. Just some quick closing words. Go in peace. Live simply, gently, at home in yourselves. Act justly, speak justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers, and stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth or speak not. Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves. And go as you go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart. Thank you all for joining us.